Yeah, you know what? We are awaiting the arrival of Infinite Umbra, who should be joining us momentarily. And we're going to be, of course, we're going to jump right into the big topic, Jamie. And again, this is going to be a bit of a two-tiered conversation. One, of course, is we're going to talk about the hiring and what it exactly means for PlayStation moving forward. I think big changes are coming to the brand, and look, there is really a lot to get into, but I want to actually shout out Dirt Griggity, Sean, Ray, and Joey. Obviously, they're a big part of the WBG podcast, which I was listening to when I was at the gym today. And of course, it's always entertaining. They hashtag TTS in the best way possible. And I want to shout out them for their one of my favorite parts of the show, and that is the POS of the week. They name dropped the a-hole who lambasted me back in January of 2025 on how I said that Helldivers 2 only makes sense to launch on Xbox, and I believe that it was happening. And of course, listen, the trolls come for you. It's a part of being on camera. It's a part of being on social media. I don't let any of these things bother me at all. Honestly, I didn't even know what happened. Someone had actually tagged me and said, "Hey, boom, look at this guy talking." And I'm like, it is what it is. I don't get bent out of shape, but they did defend me. And that a-hole was the POS of the week, as he was deserving of that honor. So shout out to Dirt Griggity and the gang for doing that. I really appreciate it. And of course, I love the work that they do over there. But Jamie Moran, we have to get into what exactly happened Friday evening. And I got to tell you, it's not that we can all say, "Oh, I saw this coming." I think the writing was on the wall, and it starts out small. Like all of these changes that Xbox did all those years ago of putting games onto PC, that was just one step, right? And it took a lot of years to get up into where they're now putting games on PlayStation and Nintendo. And before they went full third party, they put multi-plat games like Minecraft stayed as a multi-plat. And it makes sense because it makes a lot of money, right? Well, the change for PlayStation, I think we all saw coming. A lot of people don't want to admit that this was the start of something big. Well, apparently it's going to be a lot bigger than anyone could, at least the purists or the diehard PlayStation fans could have seen coming. Because if you hearken back to where this started, it starts all the way those years ago, I think 3 or 4 years ago, with MLB The Show. Now, when that happened, MLB The Show was put into Game Pass for a couple of years. I think it was 3 years. Last year's or this year's, it wasn't, right? And that in itself shocked a lot of people in the PlayStation community because you were getting the best version of that game in Xbox Game Pass. And we did learn, right? Like it wasn't a Sony decision or a Sony only decision, Jamie. It was a decision that came the way of MLB, who owns the rights, and said, listen, you're not making enough money. Only 2 million plus people on PlayStation are buying it. We want the game everywhere. Well, that's what happened. Now, a couple of years later, Kojima bought the rights back for Death Stranding. And when he did that, he put Death Stranding Director's Cut on Xbox. It was already on PC, but he put it on Xbox. And that wasn't published by Sony. That was published by 505 Games. And there were some stark defenders about, oh, well, it's Kojima's, so he's making the calls now. Really not a Sony thing. Okay, I mean that's fine. So if you want to stand with your flag in the ground for that, I'm not even going to fight you. And then we move on to Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 is a multiplayer game. Helldivers 2, in my honest opinion, is going to sell better on Xbox than it did on PlayStation. Why? Listen, 1,000 reasons. But that, I think, is what's going to ultimately happen. And we'll see. We'll see if it sells more than 2.2 million copies, because we know it sold really well on Steam, right? And then we get to this announcement. Now, this announcement came the way of a job listing or posting for someone to answer to the vice president regarding the future of putting PlayStation games or software on platforms beyond the PlayStation 5. Now, there have been, Jamie, a lot of backpedaling. There's been a lot of goalpost moving. There's been a lot of excuses. Nobody, and look, again, I have to say this for clarity. When you're talking about PlayStation a-holes, you're talking about the ponies. I don't like to use that word, right? But that's ultimately what they are. They are nasty, they are disrespectful, and they're man children that do not see what is happening before them. And obviously, a lot of these people who don't get named on this program, and that's perfectly fine, still are fighting this fight about PlayStation only putting games as a service on Xbox. And I've already talked about this yesterday, Jamie, and I think you can address it even further. What effing games as a service are they freaking talking about? Because they don't have any. They canceled all of them, right? The only one was Helldivers, and that's coming to Xbox. Is it Marathon? Well, Marathon was already coming to Xbox as per the Bungie deal. That was one of their, signs in ink. Yeah, you can buy us, but we're staying multi-platform. Sony agreed to that. That's already been announced. That's coming to Xbox. That's the gas game. Destiny 2 is already on Xbox. Has been for years. So what are we talking about? Are we talking about Jade Raymond's game that still does not have an update, that lost the creator of that studio? She's gone. Is that the game? Is Fair Games going to be the one? It's not, because it's probably not even coming out. So what are we talking about, Jamie Moran? Well, I think it's obvious that it's going to be single-player games like Spider-Man, like Returnal, like God of War maybe, like The Last of Us. And you know why they're going to do this? Because they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation that has to answer to their investors. I don't know why this is a big surprise, Jamie, but apparently it was for a lot of people. And still, some of the purists or trolls do not want to admit that this is happening and it's just a posting, and why would it matter? Let's get your thoughts on how this is going to change PlayStation the same way it changed Xbox.
You know, some people act like these companies are our best friends. They have our backs. You know, the truth is they are for-profit companies, right? Making a lot of money isn't enough. You have to make more money, right? Why do you think companies like Apple are expanding into video games and making more movies that go out at the cinema? For money, right? So, like, if you have PlayStation or Xbox or any company, and Nintendo's in its own little private bubble, which I can talk about another time, but
yeah,
like PlayStation, like if they have let's just say 70 million PlayStation 5s out in the wild, and they put out a game and it sells, I'll say 5 million copies, right? And that game ages over time. They come out with new titles. Less and less people are buying that game. And that game potentially has a max ceiling on that platform, right? And like some games don't, you have your Grand Theft Auto 5s and stuff. But like putting it on Xbox, I don't, or PlayStation, I don't, sorry, or Switch, I don't really think it would detract away from, the growing PlayStation audience. And the thing is, the whole multi-platform thing, it scares some people, right? And I really don't understand why. Like, it is weird seeing a Halo or a Gears on a PlayStation, even seeing Helldivers on Xbox. It's weird because it's kind of new. Gaming's been the same for decades and decades, and now things are starting to change. People feel uneasy about it. And, like, the truth is, people have to deal with it, right? People arguing on Twitter all day, and whining, shouting at at Phil Spencer or these other executives saying we don't want this to happen. Nothing's going to change, right? Uh, Microsoft, they're making a lot of money with these multi-platform titles. They'll make even more. And look, people on PlayStation that have never gamed elsewhere, they haven't really played a Gears game. Gears is going to do well when it comes out next month. And Helldivers is a game where you shoot aliens and robots. Pretty sure that's going to do well on Xbox. And for people that say this is not going to happen, I've seen a lot of, what should we call it, co-op online, saying PlayStation, they're not going to do the multi-platform thing. I feel like people have the memory of a walnut all of a sudden, because they've already done this. They put Lego Horizon Adventures on the Switch day one.
Yes.
People's acting like that's not a thing, right? And I know that the funny thing about these multi-platform games, people pretend that the Switch isn't like a console or a competitor. Like, people are okay with games going onto a Switch, and it doesn't count, right? I've seen this over and over again. But like Lego Horizon Adventures is a single player / co-op game. It's not a live service, and it launched day one on Switch. Nobody batted an eye because it's Nintendo, right? But the truth is, it's a third party game. And, we're going to see more of this over and over again. But I think people just have to prepare themselves. Like, Pandora's box has been opened. People have to live with it. And, you have these people online losing the marbles. Like, I'm sure I sent you the link, Boom, with people writing paragraphs.
Oh, I saw that one. That one was as tall as I am, and I'm a 6-foot man. So, yeah.
So for people that don't know, there's this person on Twitter, and I won't name them, wrote maybe like a 2,000-word essay on why this isn't happening, why Sony is a hardware company, and why Microsoft is a software company. It's like, why? I don't know why we're doing this all the time, right? Like, last year, we heard only 4 games, right?
Yep.
Things change. We got over it. And we see on PlayStation, we were told that it's just live service games at first. Things like, Helldivers now. We were told that Marathon, all that was part of the Bungie deal. The baseball game. But it's going to be more, right? Sony doesn't really have a lot of live service games.
They don't.
And I've seen a lot of people online go back and forth saying, oh, well, this is not talking about new games. It's like, okay, but Sony has this big back catalog of single-player games, right? If you don't really own a PlayStation right now for, let's say, Spider-Man Remastered, I don't think you're really going to go out and buy one right now for that game. So Sony putting that game on, let's say, Xbox, they're going to make millions. There isn't an open world Spider-Man game on Xbox which you can go out and buy now, right? We could count the Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was delisted in like 2015 or something like that. But people can't play that game anymore. We don't have many open world superhero games on Xbox.
Nope.
Right? And go back to 2016, right? This has been going on for a long time, even with Xbox, right? Quantum Break was announced for PC. Some people lost their marbles like they were losing a family member, right? It was ridiculous how people were acting. And it was like, some games would go to PC day and date, some weren't, but eventually all were. And some games did go to. The thing is, Microsoft's been doing the multi-platform thing on PlayStation for a while. Minecraft, obviously, things like Call of Duty. The Outer Worlds, the first one, was on PlayStation. But like now, you have some other titles like Age of Mythology and Gears of War Reloaded coming. Like, the multi-platform thing's been going on for years. It's just only for the past year people have been using the marbles. And like we were told years ago about PlayStation, like they will never put games on PC. And then they start doing games on PC. And then we were told, oh, it's going to be 3 years in between releases. Then it was 2 years. Then it was 1 year. Then we were told it's going to be live service games. And then we were told they wouldn't put games on other consoles. And then they put Lego Horizon Adventures on Switch day one, right? And now Helldivers is coming a year later. And people could say it's just live service games. But if anything, if they're just doing the just live service games, it would have made more sense to release Helldivers last year alongside the PlayStation release when they can maximize on the marketing potential. But they're releasing it now, right? They are going to figure out they're going to make a lot of money with Helldivers 2, and they'll bring more games over. Like, my prediction for the longest time is Days Gone and Spider-Man. Like, those are the two big ones, and I think those will come first. Days Gone more than anything, I think that'll come first. But they're going to make hand over fist with money.
Yes.
And I think, you know, the people dooming and glooming for Xbox and the people dooming and glooming for PlayStation, like, they're all going to be fine, right? Just times are changing. You know, you have these budgets ballooning to like hundreds of millions of dollars. The hardcore, I'm doing air quotes, the hardcore like console gamer group, it's not growing, right? I hate to say this, we are the last of a dying breed. You know, you have these black hole games, basically getting these new gamers' attention. Like, if someone gets into gaming now, there's a chance that they only play Warzone or Fortnite or Apex. And I want to throw up in my mouth when I say Apex because that disgusts me. We don't have Titanfall because of that game. Anyway, my point is that you have new gamers coming into the fold and they don't play these single player games. They don't want to play games that you pay for. They play these games that you just download, you play, you have microtransactions and a battle pass. And that's how they consume gaming, right? So, like, I think Microsoft, and I've been trying to tell people this for two or 3 years. I think Microsoft and Sony, they realized, like, years from now, who's going to be around to buy their single player games, their big budget games? Like, I don't think there's going to be many people. You know, we are the last of a dying breed. I think 20 years from now, 30 years from now, you are going to have most gamers, they only play these free to play experiences. The gaming market's going to shrink beyond belief when it comes to the games out in the wild. And you're going to have more gamers than ever, but they're going to be playing this free to play multiplayer slop. So, like, I can't blame Microsoft and Sony putting their games elsewhere. And again, a lot of games budgets are ballooning to hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, they need to make that money back. You know, I've seen a lot of people go back and forth saying, like, oh, Sony makes enough money because of these, you know, these games, these bangers, like AAA bangers doing well on their platform. It's like, no, that's not how companies work. Like, making enough money isn't even a thing. They want to make more money, more profits, and this is how they're going to do it. But alas, you're going to have people lose the marbles. And when it does happen, well, we'll all be there to watch it. It'll be entertaining. But until then, I think people need to calm down. And even if it does happen tomorrow, if Spider-Man gets announced tomorrow, nothing's really happening to someone. You aren't getting your games taken away from your PlayStation. You know, you don't have Hiroki Totoki breaking into your house and going to your PlayStation and deleting your game from your console, right? That ain't happening. But again, we'll see what happens.
I mean, listen, the writing was on the wall when Sony confirmed that during the business meeting, that they were going to be releasing only one AAA game per year. That's because the budget they're all ballooning. Everyone's budget is going up, right? And the writing has been on the wall for a while. Like many times, Umbra, before, and we got to welcome in Umbra. Like many times before, Xbox gets thrown under the bus, and Sony just swoops in, copies them. And I'm actually super surprised, Umbra, that we didn't see people lining up to say this is a great move for Sony. They have great IP. They would sell a lot of. There are people saying no one's gonna. As a matter of fact, Christopher Dring put his foot in his mouth again. He's like, well, it would Spider-Man, if it's going to be ported, would probably be better on Switch 2. So, I mean, even Destin Legary had to challenge him on that. So let me get this straight, Christopher Dring. You would rather port Spider-Man to a player base that has 5 million consoles versus a Series X and S community that has over 35 million. Thank God he's not running Sony, that guy. Again, it's just some of the most bombastic takes I've seen. And I'm sure Umbra has, seen a few. Maybe he even responded. But Umbra, how are you feeling, kind sir? Welcome back.
I'm feeling all right. How can you guys hear me?
We hear you A.O. fine.
All right. Yeah, good morning, fellas. Good morning, chat. Yeah, it's funny seeing some of the responses. I think that's like it goes back to the thoughts of when we speak on the old Xbox tax, right? The old dreaded Xbox tax.
Yeah.
And as those I guess who kind of look at it a little bit nuanced, it wasn't like, oh yeah, this is Xbox, we're going to personally attack them or say things bad about them. It's a subconscious thing, and this is kind of that in action to me. To sit there and am I kind of low? Elijah says I'm low.
Nah, you sound good to me.
Let me make sure.
Yeah, you sound good.
Oh, maybe it probably went down. It should be better now.
Yeah, now there you go.
Yeah, and I think it's a subconscious thing that happens from these guys because at the heart of it, a lot of guys grew up with Nintendo, a lot of guys grew up with PlayStation, and Xbox was always kind of that red-headed stepchild, you know what I mean, that came in. So it seems to be easier for them to kind of discourage or look past Xbox when it comes to things like this. I've noticed. I was going to say, as far as the old, games being taken away, like Jamie was just speaking on, nobody's going to take your games, etc. I was going to play into that and be like, well, Hiroki to take your games away is on the scene. So maybe it is. Let me stop. But yeah, I think there is this. It's weird that you don't see the same kind of reactions. Thank you all in the chat. You don't see the same kind of reactions when it's a PlayStation situation and the games may be going multi-plat. You'll see defenses mounted up.
Yes.
And not from just fanboys. You'll see it from, well, I guess to be fair, those in media can be fanboys too. But you'll see it from the journalists, right? You'll see it from people like that who are mounting defenses. Oh, well, maybe it'll be better over here. And, sure. I'm sure it'll do gangbusters on Nintendo too, right? But why is that your go-to? Why is that your go-to to be like, oh yeah, well, Nintendo, you're speaking of Xbox. It's like a deflection straight to something else instead of Xbox. Is weird. I didn't see Destin call him out on that. I missed that tweet, I guess, but it's just weird to me. What's the greater question on this, Boom? What's the exact topic we're speaking on exactly?
Well, I mean, the exact topic is how this is ultimately going to change gaming as we know it. PlayStation is not immune from loss. PlayStation is not immune from being a billion-dollar company or corporation that has to answer to their shareholders. And there is something to be said. And again, you got to remember, folks, I've said this before. This decision is not a knee-jerk decision because Forza Horizon 5 is the best-selling game on PlayStation 5 this year. That's not it. I'm sure it's a part of it. And I'm sure, Umbra, there were months when Xbox had 5 of the top 10 most paid-for games in PlayStation stores. Somebody that is a shareholder is looking at this and be like, wait a second, why aren't we doing that? Because you got to remember, well, where are all my developers in the chat? I know Brett's definitely one of them. If most of these games, like Spider-Man, like God of War, like Returnal, like Days Gone, they have already been ported over to PC. The investment to get them ported over to Xbox would not be that much. Of course, it's going to cost money. They have to get it ported. And I don't know how long it actually takes. I'm not a developer. Is it 6 months? Is it 8 months? But they're already halfway there because they're already developed on x86 hardware. So
that's
to get it,
thing. Yeah.
I mean, to get it transferred over, it's not copy and paste for sure. But I mean, this is happening. And you know what? Again, just harking back to Christopher Dring, assuming, and he actually said it in his tweet, well, a lot of Xbox players probably own PC and have already played it. Well, is he speaking for me or is he speaking for you? Because I don't have a PC. I beat Spider-Man. I platinumed it. And guess what? I'd buy it again and play it on Xbox. I'd buy Days Gone and play it on Xbox. I'd buy Returnal on Xbox. Unlike a lot of the troll community who play Twitter, who don't actually play games, they're not buying Xbox games. Hell, they don't even buy PlayStation games.
I would say, like, I would even point out, like, I have Spider-Man. I have all these other games that's first party. Even I would buy that for Xbox to get the achievements. You know what I mean? Just to get the achievements, I would do it. But going to that, you hit it on the head with the whole x86 architecture, because I was having a real good discussion with a question brought up by Game Logic. Shout out to the super intelligent Game Logic.
Yes,
you all know
very
him.
Smart man.
Super intelligent. Now, sometimes I got to bring out a little thesaurus when he started talking. I'm like, hold on now. Slow down. What was that word you just said? There was like 8 syllables in there. But Game Logic, super intelligent. He just brings up some, really great points. And so he asked a question about that and asked, if I can, I'm trying to make sure I can remember how he worded it. But he was like, he more or less asked, what is the benefit? This is not for him, by the way. It's not. Right. He doesn't care. I want to make sure this is clear before people are like, oh, Game Logic pony or something. It's not him, because he has everything too. He was asking in the interest of just interesting questions, really, and how would it look from a business perspective from Sony? What is the I guess as Kay would say, is the juice worth the squeeze, right?
Yes.
And so, like, what is it that would Sony benefit from porting it over, and sales wise, and how many copies would you think it'd possibly sell? How long would it be before Sony would make that move to bring it over to Xbox, if they did? And what they, like I said before, the whole juice worth the squeeze, is the porting cost worth that from what they might sell through? And my answer to that was, yeah, absolutely. Because because the question was about third-party games and how we will be a bit punitive on Xbox if third-party developers bring the game over late. Black Myth Wukong being it, for instance, right? Or for people like, I'm not getting that now. You all took all day. You secretly money-headed, et cetera, right? We hear that talk.
Yes.
Or we hear, for instance, Moon Studios with Thomas Mailer, what he said, and people were like, nope, not buying it, right? So people will be punitive if they feel like you're playing favorites, or you're kind of disregarding them as a consumer on their platform of choice. And I said, well, the thing is, it's different because this is first party, right? And I think Xbox gamers, even if to rub it in the place our Hoove brothers, as I call them, our Hoove brothers are in their faces, would absolutely buy those first party games just to say, oh, I got this on my Xbox, right? I don't know what Paris is talking about in the chat.
Yeah, I just check your DM, brother. I just sent over the link.
I don't know what's going on. I'm just talking about gaming here. That's it. I don't want no problems. But but yeah, like, I think if anything, even if just like the simple thought of Xbox gamers kind of getting, we can lord it over PlayStation gamers, that would be more than enough for them to do it for some of them, right? But in general, Spider-Man is an icon.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want Spider-Man? Who wouldn't want to play a game by a great Insomniac team, right? Now, again, I'm pretty sure many of us have already played the games, but I would venture to guess there are many who haven't, and then again, who would prefer to have it on their platform of choice. If they come in talking about $70, maybe it might be a bit of an issue, but you bring that over and you port it over $60 or $50 or something like that, maybe even $50. I think you'll get at least 3 or 4 million in sales pretty fast. I would imagine.
Well, they could do the same thing that they did for when Spider-Man Miles Morales came out, when it launched. It had the game of the year. They had the updated Spider-Man 2018.
Right.
They could sell a combo pack for $70, and they'd run through the numbers. People would line up on Xbox to play both Spider-Man and Miles Morales. Both absolutely astounding games from Insomniac Games. These games are old. And I did see some people talking about, well, they're not going to port games that are under a year old. Everything that we've talked about already is 5 years old. God of War is 2018. Spider-Man is 2018. Miles Morales, I think, is 2020. Like, these games are old.
Yeah,
and they would make new money for Sony.
Absolutely. And I saw a quote, and I was telling this to Game Logic. I wish I could remember it by heart, but I think it was something Satoki said, where he said that they were printing money by putting games on PC. And just something as simple as, somebody did the numbers. I wish I would have kept that, like got the screenshot or something, but they were saying like even 1 million in sales from porting it to PC was well worth them porting it over to bring it to PC. So you can imagine you would get at least 1 million in sales from Xbox gamers off of first party PlayStation game. At the very least, a Spider-Man, an Uncharted, a God of War.
Yeah, that was actually Yoshida that said that.
Was Yoshida? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's somebody corrected me. They probably did say Yoshida. But think about that, right? Like, you just in 1 million sales off PC alone, and people, I think the argument was, well, PC gamers didn't blah blah blah. Well, some PC gamers have a PlayStation as a side what's the word I'm looking for here? Companion console, right? So sometimes they might have already gotten it, they didn't want to wait. But one thing we've learned is PC gamers are very different, where they have a lot of them don't have the FOMO we might have, so they can put that off and wait till a sale is good enough for them. Because I know some right now who will have the games come over 6 months to a year later, and will wait until that game goes on sale on a Steam sale or something like that, or Fanatical or wherever they may get it from. Yep. For $20 or $30 or something like that. So, PC gamers are a little different, but I think if you put that in the play box, if you will, sandbox of Xbox gamers, and you got first party, specifically a Spider-Man, specifically a God of War, games we know that are well beloved, well made, great games. Absolutely, I can see about 3 or 4 million just immediate, like probably more than that.
Each one of those titles would equate that kind of a number.
For sure.
In my opinion.
I would just, I would say I'm so grateful that you didn't allow Paris to come up. Hey. Hi.
No.
Good morning.
Hey there.
I didn't know that you were here.
I'm sure you didn't. I'm here to address what you said in the chat. You said I was afraid to come up here, and I'm here. So that's what you got for me.
I said your name. First of all, let's be clear. I said your name 3 times in all caps. I expected you to show up, but thank you, sir, for joining us.
No, I appreciate it, Boom, as always. But no, Umber, no, don't start backing up now. Don't moonwalk.
Back it up.
I was just trying to
back it up.
It was music in the chat.
Look, let's address something right now.
That's all it was.
Let's address something right now. You get slick with your comments towards me. Don't think I don't pay attention. I see.
What?
I see what you say. You try to mock how I talk. You make little sly comments.
I would never do that. I think that we should all just
see. Okay.
Imitation is the
I know.
It is. Good morning.
Oh, trust me. As much crap as I get online, you really think I care about that?
Yeah, listen, no. They come for us on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, someone actually shared something with me. They lambasted me in January about Helldivers 2. That said person, which I don't have to name names, Dirk Riggedy already did it for me. He made him his POS of the week, so I feel vindicated. Thank you, Dirk Riggedy and company. Paris, let's talk about this posting, because, again, I know that I read it a particular way. I know you read it a particular way. I think the writing is what it is. The interpretation is what it is. They're hiring a person, and that person's going to have 2 people working under him. That person's salary is near $400,000. This is not a person that's going to try and get fair games onto Xbox. That's not what they're being hired for. It's clearly in the writing that they want to make money with using their IP. They have very powerful IP. Spider-Man, God of War, Days Gone, Returnal. You can just keep going. They have a lot of incredible first-party games that are sitting on digital servers making no money for them. Most of these games, Paris, have already been ported over by Nixxes to PC. The port from PC to Xbox would not be an investment that they don't want to make. And this is a conversation that's been going on within Sony for months. This isn't a knee-jerk. I said this earlier. It's not a knee-jerk reaction to Forza Horizon 5 selling the best on PlayStation 5 this year. That's not what it is. These decisions take months of decision-making to happen. Let's get your thoughts on the job posting and your particular thoughts.
So, I mean, being serious, because I know obviously a lot of people have been having fun with this over the past few days. When I first saw it, I was like, oh my God, there's going to be a complete meltdown.
Pandemonium. Yes.
Yes. And I was 100% correct because, wow. I see it this way. You don't create a position like this and have sub managers under it for it to essentially just stay what it's been, because you've already ported Helldivers 2. That's happening, right? You've already ported a Lego Horizon to the Switch. It's already happening. We already know Marathon is coming. We assume Fair Games and any other live service games at this point, you just assume they're going to come as well. So when you look at this, I never looked at this and thought, oh, day and date, they're going to do what Microsoft is doing. I don't think that at all. I do think they're going to strategically look at IPs that have essentially run its course on PS5, from a profitability standpoint, bring them to other platforms. Why not? It's extra revenue. And you can't tell me they've not seen the success that Microsoft has just had with Forza Horizon 5.
Thank you.
And think, why wouldn't we do something similar? Ultimately, what is going to hurt? Because I've seen a lot of arguments, like you brought up Game Logic. I was on the thing with him with Asante over the weekend and briefly talked about it. But even talking with him, my point is, I don't see, this is not going to hurt the brand.
No.
If you're going to buy a PlayStation, you're still going to buy a PlayStation. Like, you got to think the people that have disposable income that would go spend $1,500, $2,000 plus on a PC, that's a small percentage of the gaming audience. If I was already a console gamer, I'm still going to go buy a PlayStation 6. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I was already on PlayStation 6 comes out, I'm not going to go, well, let me now go build a $2,000 PC. You're not going to do that. You're going to go spend the $700, $800 or whatever it's going to be, and you're going to go buy a PlayStation 6. You're going to continue to play those PlayStation, because now there's a level of FOMO where these Spider-Man 3, Ghost of Yote, you know what I'm saying, Intergalactic, these games aren't necessarily coming to PC right away. You'd have to wait. And not everyone's going to want to wait. The people that are willing to wait are already waiting now because they have not bought a PlayStation. There's like, I'll just wait till it comes to PC. So if you apply that logic to Xbox, it's still essentially the same thing. People that wanted an Xbox have bought an Xbox. People that don't bought a PlayStation. And we go into the next generation, that's not going to change. I mean, unless this next Xbox is doing something truly revolutionary, you're just going to go buy a PlayStation 6. So bringing games to an Xbox, to a Switch, and they're already doing it on PC, doesn't change that much. Sure, you'll lose a small percentage of people, but look at what you gain in return. You're going to make way more money putting games on more platforms than you would keeping them isolated to the PlayStation. I get console wars and all that stuff. It's all silly, but ultimately they don't care about your feelings. They care about growth. They care about revenue and profit. That's what they care about. So if they can make more profit taking a game that is no longer going to sell on their platform and put it on another platform into, like you were already talking, let's just take Spider-Man 2 as an example. If Spider-Man 2 is on the Xbox and 1 million people go buy it, it was worth it. How is it not? You know, it's just how I look at it. And I'll add this point in as well. If this next Xbox, well, I shouldn't even guess because Sarah Bond said it herself. This next Xbox will have the Steam in the Epic Store. You will play games from it. So these PC games that are being ported will be playable on the next Xbox. And again, this is speculation on my part. What if, I don't know, PlayStation would engage it or Microsoft would engage it. Said, look, put these the games that you're going to port to PC anyways, put them on our Windows/Xbox store. We'll give you a better cut.
Yes. Someone actually said that the other day. Yep.
Good thought.
Ways you get more money in your pocket for people that buys it through the Windows store than they would through Steam. And Steam diehards are not going to do that. We get it. But if you got people that are buying this next gen Xbox that are Xbox players, guess where they're going to go buy it? They're going to go buy it on the Xbox store. So again, you make more profit doing it that way. And that's what I mean. This is just me trying to look at this logically. Who knows? Maybe none of it happens, but it's not going to just stay the same. Maybe it is just smaller games. Maybe it is just live service games. But I'm at a point now where I feel like, why wouldn't you put some of your single player games into the Xbox store when essentially they're going to be playable on Xbox hardware in the next generation anyways?
Yep.
So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I know everybody's been having fun this weekend. You know, I got a little cheeky on GTR and Danny was asking me if they hired me, what would I do?
I heard that. That was great.
But, you know, that's just having fun with the whole thing. Ultimately, nobody knows how this is going to happen. And I'll say this, even if it does happen, don't expect it to just overnight be all of a sudden you're getting Horizon Zero Dawn and Spider-Man 2 and Uncharted. It'll be a slow rollout.
Right. It might be. Listen, they're going to release at least one game to test the water. They're not going to have a full slate overnight. They got to port these things. And honestly, and I've been saying this for quite a while, the one that makes the most sense financially for Sony is Spider-Man 2018. And maybe they do a dual pack. Maybe they take a book out of their own a page out of their own book and do the Spider-Man / Miles Morales, and they put it on Xbox for $70 and see how that goes. Both of those reported by Nixxes, right? They're already on PC. I don't know how much it would cost to port, but it would be, like you said, even if they only sold 1 million. And I got news for you. Spider-Man is so beloved, and the MCU is hitting its stride right now. Fantastic Four, I know your thoughts on it. Was phenomenal. You have Doomsday, you have Secret Wars, you have the reboot of the MCU, Spider-Man with the Punisher, and potentially the Hulk as the antagonist happening in July of next year. Spider-Man is going to be hot. The Last of Us is a series that's going to potentially continue. They could be slick and drop the Last of Us remake onto Xbox. And even if they only sold 1 million, and we know that it would sell more than that, it would sell more than 1 million. That's worth the squeeze, so to speak. I don't know. I just think that, you know, there are some people in the chat are trying to say that this is a big nothing burger. If you think that is perfectly fine, right? But again, I'll be waiting for the apologies and the vindication victory lap when Spider-Man does release on Xbox, and it's going to release on Xbox. It's only a matter of time. It's the one that makes the most sense. Why? Because Marvel upped the ante on what their take is, right? It went from 25% to 35%. As a matter of fact, they were getting near 50% for every bundle they sold for Spider-Man. Not 50% of the actual bundle, but 50% of the copy that's in the box, the digital copy. That was $50, they were getting 25. They have to account for this. And there's also, Paris, and nobody on the panel mentioned it yet, the loss that Sony has taken for their drastic shifts in ideology. People completely forget about that, right? They went from making incredible single-player, story-driven, narrative-focused games and selling 15 to 20 million of those games. In this generation, that is not happening, right? What they did do is they shifted to gas games. And only one has come out so far that was successful, mostly successful on PC. That's Helldivers 2. And that's coming to Xbox next month. I don't know. Anybody want to just jump in?
I feel like I said this too when I was talking to the guys on the Discord. I said, you know, those saying is today's price is not yesterday's price. I think today's Sony is not yesterday's Sony either in that
That's
regard.
right.
And they're slower getting to the point that Microsoft has gotten to, but they're definitely going to get there. You know what I mean? And it's just a matter of time. And even like, you know, as I keep telling people, and Paris he touched on it a second ago, where, you know, where the point is, even if they're not bringing the games over directly, you'll get them anyway. So it would be in Sony's best interest to make a way to try to capitalize on it. Much like Paris said, maybe they can talk to Microsoft and get a little extra cut.
Yeah.
Maybe they can make a deal to get it into Game Pass. I know I don't want to throw that out there. Look, Xbox don't want to buy games. Look at them. But, I'm just saying, like, that could be a way.
That could be a deal. Sure. They'll take a bag of money. Why not?
Yeah, take a bag of money and get sales too from, so why not? I don't know how much something like that would cost to get it into Game Pass, but I'm sure it wouldn't be cheap either. But, maybe things like that. I feel like Sony could capitalize in a lot of different ways. And like you said, since they are using x86 architecture, it's not like it's a crazy amount to port it over anyway. It won't cost a lot. It's pretty simple, actually. So yeah, I feel like Sony just needs to get ahead of it, honestly.
That's the other part of this. If, again, rumors, speculation, and what we've already seen so far, if the next Xbox is essentially running Windows, because obviously it must be, if Steam and Epic Store games are going to be natively playable on it, right?
Right.
You've already done the work.
Yes.
It's really at that point just which digital store you're putting it on.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So what I'm saying. Look. I know, like, Boom, I know you said this. I think it was January of 2024. I should go pull the tweet because they never pull this up.
No, of course
I
not.
said
Why
then. I go, look, the business of gaming is changing. And, you had people freaking out. Oh, you're just repeating what Phil Spencer said, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, look at what's happening. Yes, Microsoft was spurred on to make this change because of the Activision acquisition, right? Spotlight is on them internally at Microsoft. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Xbox has a spotlight on them, internally at Microsoft. So if you've noticed, Phil Spencer has said since then, I have to run a sustainable business. He says it every time.
Yep.
Because he does. So that's what they're doing. I didn't like it. I still, in some ways, don't like it.
None of the OGs did, because it's a change in
ideology.
Weird. Yeah.
But here's the funny thing about it. Now that the dust has settled on it, and you kind of realize, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does not matter. Okay, Gears of War Reloaded is on PlayStation, and okay.
And the same day, Helldivers 2 on Xbox. I mean, talk about.
But that's the point that I'm making.
Yeah.
Okay. More people get to play it. Other than unless you have some selfish need to keep a game away from someone that didn't buy the plastic box that you did, who really cares? I guess is what I'm saying. Right. And then you're seeing, oh wow. So Forza Horizon 5 is actually a great talking point on this. You've had 3 million people buy the game. There's no PS Plus. There's no Game Pass. They bought the game at full price, and in some instances, pre-ordered the $100 bundle for a game that's 4 years old. So what that says is there's an audience that wants these games, but that same audience is not necessarily willing to invest in additional hardware or another digital store. And I'll bring it back again to what Phil Spencer said when he was on XCast. It doesn't matter if Starfield is an 11 out of 10. We lost the most important generation, which was the digital library generation. And that's what's starting to play out now. The philosophy, honestly, is very simple. Instead of telling people to come to us for the games, we're going to bring the games to where the people
wherever they are. Yep.
And ultimately, there's nothing wrong with that. If they're still going to provide hardware, it's up to you. You get to choose as the customer. If you want to play on PlayStation, that's where you play. If you want to play on Switch or PC, that's where you play. If you still want to buy an Xbox, great. But if you don't, here's these other platforms where our games will be available to you. Because, and I'm not saying this because I know anything, but you can't tell me at Gamescom we don't get Switch announcements.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I agree.
These games are coming elsewhere. I mean, I think at this point now that time has passed, no one should be shocked. Like, I fully expect a flight sim to be on PS5. Why wouldn't it? Right? I fully expect Avowed, Starfield are going to be on PlayStation 5. I fully expect Day and Date, Fable to be on PlayStation 5. Gears E Day and date on PlayStation 5. Okay. That doesn't mean I have to go play them on PlayStation 5. I already got an Xbox. I play it there or on PC. Or if I feel froggy, I will go play it on PlayStation 5 because it's up to me on where I want to go play. And it's up to me if I would rather subscribe to Game Pass or go purchase it full price. That's the other silly thing that I see online a lot is, oh, the Xbox people, you don't buy games. Actually, the percentages of people that have Game Pass versus the amount of games that are played, what is it, 15 to 20%?
Yeah,
up in there somewhere.
It's very low. You would think it would be higher. It's actually not.
Yeah, and it's not. But it's just, again, it's console war nonsense. It's like, number one, why are you rooting for the company? Root for yourself. You're the customer. Get value out of what you play. You know, I don't know. I always find that argument silly because it's like you're defending a company that doesn't even know your name.
Yeah, no,
that's weird.
Just a number in a lot of numbers.
Yeah,
that's weird in all facets. By the way, there's this weird fascination with people like in working poor and everybody else are worshiping like corporations and billionaires. It's like they don't care about you, right?
Yeah.
And people will put their identification into these platforms like it's them. I've seen people get upset if you diss a platform, and I've seen people get upset if you diss, like a politician. It's like they don't know you, they don't care about you. Right. These platforms don't know you, they don't care. All it is at the end of the day is business.
Yeah. So here's the one thing that I will say about exclusivity, or for a better term in this current age, timed exclusivity. Right. I will agree that if focusing on one platform brings out the best quality in a game, if the studio can't support doing multiple platforms at the same time and the game itself suffers quality, then you don't do it. Then that's you only put it out on one platform and then you bring it to the other platform at a later date. And we are seeing examples of that even within the Xbox ecosystem. Hellblade 2 didn't go day and date. It's just now coming, right? Yeah. Avowed still isn't there. Starfield still isn't there. So
South of Midnight is still not there.
Right. Yeah. South of Midnight is not there as well. So some games may not show up on other platforms at all and other ones at a later date because you know what the great example is, because it's coming out in October, Keeper from Double Fine. Double Fine is not Double Fine. Instead of trying to do multi-platform, which they have done in the past with Psychonauts 2 as an example, instead, this is only coming to the Xbox platform at launch. And you would assume later down the road, it will come to PlayStation and probably Switch. You know what I mean? Hell, even Flight Sim didn't go day and date, but like I said before, I fully expect Flight Sim to be on a PlayStation 5. So there's variables to all this stuff, and that's bringing it all back full circle to PlayStation. This is why I don't think PlayStation is going to do day and date with any single player game that they put over, because right now it's Nixxes. They can obviously, did I say it right? Nixxes?
Nixxes, yes, correct.
Yeah, it does a lot of the heavy lifting for the porting. They've contracted out like an Iron Galaxy, because I think they did The Last of Us 2 on PC, but their internal studios right now are not equipped to do multi-platform stuff. So it makes sense that, no, we can't put these things out day and date. They need extra time if we do it at all. That's the one thing about this position that we're seeing. There's no guarantee that anything is coming. We're obviously making assumptions because you look at the job description, you look at the responsibility, and let's be real, you look at the salary this position is generating.
$400,000, dude.
That's not just a couple. That's just not a couple games. It's clearly the ambition or the idea is to look at the entire portfolio and see what makes sense. And then you go from there. So, like I said, I know people are having fun with it, joking. I know some people are about to jump off a cliff over it and are writing 20-page AI novels. It's just games. I mean, that's my thing. At the end of the day, it's just games. If it happens, honestly, great. If it doesn't, okay, it doesn't. But this is not going to hurt you either way. That's how I look at it.